Saints Talk listeners, what's up? We back for another week, like we told you we would be. Training camp and football is here and it's close, and we're excited. Welcome to Saints Talk, the official podcast of NewOrleans.Football. Make sure you guys go to NewOrleans.Football. That's the website /subscribe and join. There's a few different tiers you can join. You can pick the one that best suits your needs, but you get everything that Nick writes. I'm tripping. I'm slipping this week. I didn't pull up the articles, but I know he wrote something on Zach Bond. He had an article with 53 questions, basically more. It's like, I don't know, maybe like 4 weeks worth of material in one article. So just make sure you go to the website, subscribe, and get the best Saints content you can find on the web. Also, if you're on Instagram, make sure you follow New Orleans Football, one word. So, man, we back. Nick, football is getting close. Are you starting to feel employed?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a little bit weird today to think. I was sitting there, just watching Twitter to see who's opting out, and I'm like, man, like in a normal world, we could be at practice instead of doing this. So it's getting closer, but it's still really weird. But the fact that we're moving, it's all good.
Let me just tell you a little bit about my pain. So like all these players are opting out, right? It's just Patrick Chung, Hightower, Marcus Kane. They're all like from one team, and then the kid from the Eagles opted out. And so I see something pop up on the timeline. Saints veteran tight end, and my heart dropped. Like it fell out of my chest, and I had to put it back in because I was like, "Oh, Jared Cook is not playing this year," but it wasn't Jared Cook. And
yeah, it was cool. Wick.
I mean, do what you got to do, man. I feel you, but
yeah, I mean, he's got asthma, so I mean, that's somebody that probably needs to opt out.
Yeah, I'm totally for it, man.
I know everybody's like, he wasn't gonna make the team or whatever. Anyhow, like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, you still kind of got to feel bad for a guy. Like, he went to like a college, I think, called like Incarnate World. He's grinded. He's been on practice squads, and he's managed to hold on for probably longer than most guys do that bounce around like he does.
Right.
Fought for everything, and now he's out. So I mean,
it sucks.
It is the dark side to it. A guy like that is hoping beyond hope to have a chance to do what he wants to do and make a living. So I mean, it is it's not a huge thing as far as the roster building or whatever, and that's fine. But like it does suck that like somebody's losing their dream, and someone like that is going to probably have a hard time getting back. Like some of these guys that are opting out, or this might be it. This might be the last time. So.
Yeah, it would be great if like they said if you opt out, then you get like an extra practice squad year or something. I don't know, man. I don't know what, I think all of this is in motion, and I think they're figuring it out as they go. They've expanded some things with the roster, so hopefully the guys who, and I know the money gets pushed out, but I think that they should give guys the extra year on practice squad, whatever they can do for guys like that to kind of help them. Because you're right, like. He's missing a year of development, and that's tough for a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is like that might be it. Anyhow, like it could be your last. Like if you aren't getting back in the league, it's probably your last ride. Anyhow, but like,
yeah,
it would be tough for me to know that I didn't get to have that one last fight. Like you want to go out fighting, and like, he's not going out fighting because he has asthma, and that sucks. Like
yeah. Thing, but at the same time. I understand like these guys that are opting out, like, like the guys with the newborn. I mean, I was listening to Goodwin, the wide receiver that got traded to the Eagles, and his reasoning, and I was like, you got something to say about that, man. You got your priorities. A little weird. It was all family. He not to get into the details about it, but he had lost. He had a situation where he had really have no choice. So, these guys, they're doing what they got to do. And I mean, Larry Warford decided to opt out, which that's interesting, right?
He didn't opt out. He's just not playing.
That's I like how you put that.
Well, I mean, it's true. Like if you opt out, like you're done for the year.
No, you're right.
You get the $150K. He's not on a team, so he's not opting out. Like he could play if he decides he wants to play in November and someone wants to sign him. He can. Like Cole Wick can't play now. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I guess Wolford kind of opted himself out. If that's a better way
that's the right way. Yeah.
Like no one signed me, so I'm gonna lose some weight and see if Coach Payton is in a better mood next year. But yeah, we'll see.
I don't think he's coming back here.
It's a 0% chance that he
Yeah,
comes
it's
back.
over.
Yeah, it's not
Unless
happening.
somebody got hurt. I mean, if somebody got hurt, I could see it, but
Yeah. I mean, if Nick Easton, Cameron Tom, I mean, like after you talk about a man like that, I don't know what that phone call sounds like. Like, hey Larry, man, you know all that stuff I was saying. You know, bygones be bygones. You in shape?
I mean, that's kind of how it goes, though, man. I mean, like people just kind of got to bury it. You know, if that's your best shot, that's your best shot. It is what it is.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, they went back to and looked at Jimmy Graham. You know what I mean? Like if it's
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
That's true. Malcolm Jenkins came back. Roman Harper came back.
yeah.
I don't know who. I'm pretty sure someone else. Tommy Lee Lewis keeps coming back.
Tommy Lee ain't never going.
Tommy Lee ain't going nowhere. Hey, Tommy Lee, man, just do you, man? Don't opt out. All right, so today we're kind of gonna do a little training camp preview, and so we're gonna go basically each position and just kind of highlight a little bit, kind of like what's going on with that position, what's exciting, maybe what's concerning, maybe there's nothing concerning, maybe there's everything exciting, maybe vice versa. So we're going to preview the whole team pretty much. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. Quarterbacks. Drew throwing passes downfield. Nick, I need the – you
Look, he
already
had a
wrote
little
the –
heat. He had a little heat on those. I'm not gonna lie.
So the funny part was Ryan, I need a 1,000-word article about it, and you just got that in the tuck.
Yeah, it was already done. It was already done.
you just got that. I was like, hey, man, that's my dog. But go ahead. I mean, it looked good, man. Let's analyze it. Let's overreact.
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of heat on him. I mean,
Yeah.
he was throwing the ball a little bit harder than I think. I mean, definitely with more velocity than he had last year.
Absolutely.
Last year, the loss of velocity was pretty apparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know like how it would compare to 2018. I'd have to kind of watch a bunch of those throws side by side. But 2019 fresh in my mind, and I've rewatched that season 45 times now since February. Like the ball was coming out a little bit faster.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Maybe that's a little deliberate. Like, hey, man, let's put the downfield passes in the promo video, right, for the training camp or whatever. But yeah, it looked like it was a little more juice on. I mean, Drew's never been Mahomes, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, right? That's so we're starting from a different point. But at the end of the day, it does a lot for the offense. If defenses no longer can not fear the ball going over their head, then because you got to think, right? If the defense is not worried about the deep ball, they kind of have an extra defender underneath, and you don't have to worry about the deep middle, basically. So if that safety is not cheating as much, and I'm pretty sure they didn't cheat all season, but it just gives your offense another dimension when teams are a little bit afraid of the ball going over their head, and so you're playing with more field. And if he can hit a couple of those early in the season and teams see it and they start to respect it, then I think that's going to benefit the offense.
I think the biggest thing for Drew this year is that he needs to be on a very strict pitch count the whole entire season. And I think that you could accomplish two things with this. I guess he has to be there, but I would keep him far away from everybody at practice on Wednesday. You're just social distance him the whole time. Let him watch.
Right.
I wouldn't have him do anything on Thursday either.
Okay.
Maybe Friday just on the install, run the install, get out there and do it. Like assuming he has chemistry with everyone. And look, if he needs to get more reps in with Troutman or Sanders,
right,
he can do that after practice.
Yep.
And I think that kind of isolates him a little bit and keeps the risk of losing him, minimalized. And then also the pitch count, you want him to be able to throw that pass that he just threw on that Instagram video in January. And
week 17, right? Yep.
I mean, he's 41 now. Like, how much does he actually need to practice? Just whatever he needs to do, like just hit the minimum, keep him sharp. Don't make him practice out of obligation. And, and I think that serves the third benefit to that. You get this look at Jameis and Taysom.
Yeah.
Wide as possible in every single rep. And you want that battle playing out all year. So end of the season, you know which way to go with Jameis.
Yeah, that's a good point. You make a really good point, specifically when you said, as a quarterback, you can work out with a receiver and social distance.
Right.
Social distance. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, he's lined up over there, and once he, I mean, just don't. I mean, you're sharing the ball, right? Just don't touch your face or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he can definitely
He's got to
get.
stop licking his fingers, man.
Oh man, that's a good point.
Like
Drew's
the center snapping the ball, you're looking the finger. Like
he's
just
high risk.
you can't touch your face, man. You can't touch your face like that.
That's always been nasty. Drew, stop that. Come on, Drew. Let's get better in year 50.
Just use a watered down towel to get the little bit of grip on your fingers, man.
If I shake your hand, hey Nick, and I'm like, nah, bro, not okay, Drew.
Oh man.
Yeah, you got a little bit too much. Yeah, you're a little too important to be licking your fingers, man. And I mean, and we won't get into the Brady article, but there's a lot of implications of like of you trying to get a little bit better grip on that football. So
I hate that. Like one of the things I'm going to be most known for my whole life is writing that article. Like I kind of regret it. I kind of regret that I wrote it.
Hey man, look, hey, look, you're just showing your versatility.
I mean,
but that was a weird article.
Hey man, that's what the Senators want to talk about. Like, what are you?
It's sold though, right? It popped though. It popped.
It did. I mean, it was a good article. It just like I just wish it wasn't like, oh, like you wrote that article about like swamp ass.
Yeah, swamp ass.
Yeah. Oh, that was great, man. Like, yeah, that's cool.
I got a website, by the way. Go and sign up. Yeah, but yeah, I think if. Hey, look, I'm pretty sure the Saints they thought of all the stuff that we're talking about. So, and I think even more so this year because moving on, we're gonna like suffer. I feel cheated. All right, I feel cheated. I'm upset. I'm pissed off, and I understand why, and I agree with it. But man, I sure want to see some preseason games this year.
Oh yeah,
I'm devastated. Like that was like. One of the things I was looking forward to most this season was preseason, and yeah, they took it.
I'm a fan of preseason games, man. I know everybody hates them and complains about them. I like them. I mean,
me too.
It kind of gives you that evaluation, and like how are you supposed to like? It's much easier when you're looking at someone like Taysom, and you can look preseason to preseason to preseason. Mm-hmm. And you get that evaluation, like you think you're seeing stuff in practice, but like we don't have the film to rewind and all that stuff. And then people that can't get to camp aren't going to see Taysom at all. So,
that's a good
I
point.
mean, it is disappointing. And I know people love to complain about it. And sure, I've probably thrown off a few complaints at times, like about, oh man, another one. Like, but I like them. Like overall, I like them. And I think that they're valuable. And, I think the team's fine. Like if it were just 2, but like 0.
Yeah. I understood. I mean, listen, if I'm a player, I want to play as few games as possible and collect the same check, obviously. But as a fan, like I kind of like I support maybe 2 preseason games. The 4 seems like a little bit much, I'll admit. But 2, I was like, okay, 2 sounds good. But just not having any, because I mean, 1 is football. It's like your intro. It's like, I don't know, like I'm in training camp too, right? I need the games to warm up. I need to remember like, how the mic needs to play or whatever, and so but yeah, the backup quarterback position this year it's the biggest. I think it's the biggest battle on this team if I'm thinking through it. And they say Taysom is the backup. He probably is, but I'm not talking about the backup quarterback for this year. I'm talking about starter future, and I think that's the biggest battle on the team. Like, can you think of any? Yeah, I would probably say that's the number 1 position battle on this entire roster is the Taysom and Winston. So
it's the most significant for sure. The most significant. Yeah, we're just down the line ramifications, and it's not even just Jameis. It's those 2 versus the unknown. Like, do you need to explore door number 3?
Yeah, there you go. Right, the answer may not be in the building. Yeah, that's a good point. We're gonna be like overly dependent on your practice reports this year. like
NewOrleans.Football /subscribe
because the whole narrative about the backup quarterback battle is you're gonna drive it, man. I'm just saying. So give the people what they want.
We still got the code on there. Saints Talk $10 off an annual plan.
Check the show notes.
I'm trying to think like the other thing though about no preseason, and we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but like it does make it easier to hide your players a little bit. And I wrote about the impact on Jameis, but like the other thing is like Emmanuel Butler signed, I think he got 1,500 guaranteed. Little Jordan Humphrey was below 3,000, I think, guaranteed money. So basically, like what that says is like those guys were not on anybody's radar, period.
Mm-hmm.
So you cut them at the end of camp. They go on your practice squad. You hide them for the whole season. Nobody's any the wiser. So
Right.
like those guys coming in this year, like there's no risk of now Butler might have like just off of media reports like garnered a little bit of interest. Somebody might have taken a flyer on him. Little Jordan Humphrey, no man. Like you could have cut him and kept him. Nobody knows. And you know that isn't going to happen with Calvin Throckmorton or Baki, who got 150,000 guaranteed. But like
Right.
if Adrian McGee, who got $500 guaranteed, if he has a good camp and you just don't have the spot for him on the roster,
You
and it turns
stole
out
him
he's
basically.
a good enough player, like you can hide him for the whole year. So
Yeah.
if you think you scout better, no, you aren't finding Taysom Hill. Like they found Taysom Hill on accident scouting the other McCaffrey.
Right.
So you aren't finding him. So that's the other part of it. But like if your scouting is good on your UDFAs and those guys a little bit further down the list that nobody was looking at are good, you can hide them all year. So that
Yeah.
is a little bit interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Shout out to the other McCaffrey, man. That's his first name. The
Max.
other first name, the
Max.
last. No, his first name is the middle name other, last name McCaffrey.
Don't treat that man like he's Frank Stallone, man. That's cool. That's cool, man.
That's what it is, man. Yeah. So that backup quarterback, that battle will be fun. So definitely make sure you guys are subscribing to NewOrleans.Football because that's where the only place the practice report is going to be. You know, no dark web stuff going on around here. So, and Tommy Stevens, what is he? Where does he line up the first day of practice? He's lining up with the quarterbacks, the tight end. So we'll see. I mean, he's probably someone that they're going to probably bring in a little slower. I mean, Taysom is, he's Taysom part 2 and Taysom part 1 is still on the team. But that's another exciting situation. Like the quarterback room has a lot going on. Like the future of the Saints is maybe on the line. Drew's arm, he's 41. Taysom part 2. It's quarterbacks are fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that. Like, I know I'm not saying this in response to you. Like, I don't think that Tommy Stevens should be framed within the idea of like, oh, well, they've never kept 4 quarter. Like, he isn't there because he like I would put quarterback last on his list of traits of why he's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I think all those other things maybe allow him to develop a little bit as a quarterback over time, and you see maybe if there's something there, but he's here for special teams. He's here. They had him running routes on videos. So yeah, I mean, like he's a quarterback on the roster, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if we see him in that quarterback group like most often. I think that's going to be the thing we see him doing the least.
Yeah, no, that's fair. He's probably not. He's not going to play one snap at quarterback this year unless it's some run play with Taysom, in the backfield.
Right.
I don't know why I'm looking back like someone's behind me. But yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. But it's a fun room. It's a fun room. Even we're gonna call him a quarterback just because we don't know what the hell he is right now.
Right.
Maybe he'll be an H-back next week or something. But for right now, we'll call him a quarterback. Okay, moving on. Let's do running backs. Kamara is doing. Did you see that drill that his trainer posted on Instagram? Like, I started reading about it and I just stopped. I was like, okay, it's hard.
Yeah, the stuff they do is insane.
That's ridiculous. Like,
And
I tried some of that balance stuff. It's not easy, man. Like, it's not easy.
the reason they do that too, and his trainer told me this, is that like, yeah, I mean a lot of that stuff helps, but like it also keeps them engaged at like beyond. It taps into the competitiveness of them as
Right.
athletes. So like you create all this weird stuff and you make it really challenging. They're going to work at it a lot harder than maybe just working through reps or it just doesn't become like monotonous.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So that room, I mean, I think it's all about Kamara this year. I do think, and you brought this up to me, when you were spying on the Saints this past year, planning your return, that, Murray, he looked good. Like, and if he had an opportunity to get more touches, that he could be effective, right? And I think he showed that. There were games where, he looked really good, and he looked like he warranted, more touches. He should have warranted more touches than he got. And so, how do you see that split going? You think, they're going to try to kind of keep Kamara fresh? You think they kind of want to let Kamara be the bell cow back and just let Murray spell him? How do you see that split going this year?
I struggle with this one because I don't know. Like if Alvin's going at full strength, I don't know if Murray should get.
Any touches?
I don't know. I don't know if
Well,
any's
not
right.
any, but not. So, yeah, I get where you're
I
going.
don't know if he should get like enough touches to get over like 700 yards. You know, I think like if Alvin's having a good season and he's staying healthy, I think that the ball should be going to him. And then Murray comes in and gets his how
Yeah.
he can kind of. I don't think it should be a split like Ingram and Alvin like by any means. So it depends.
I can. It depends. It depends. It depends. So now I cut you off. My bad, but I think a lot of it does depend on, and you're talking like regular game situations, but I think, if the Saints are winning games, then I definitely think like if Murray has a lot of yards, that's either really good or really bad. One, Kamara got hurt, or two, they're ahead in games and they're just running the ball down team's throat to finish the game. So I do think it's a little situational, but you know, significant points in the game where you need like a yard or something. Kamara, I think he probably does like everything better than him, probably.
Yeah, I mean, like in neutral variable situations,
Right, there you go.
saying it was playing, that way throughout the whole year, that I think Alvin should significantly outtouch him. And if he doesn't, I think it means that there's something that Alvin's managing and something went wrong to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, the situation here, like I wish there was like one more guy in this mix somewhere. I think that they have a good group. I wish there was somebody to push Ty Montgomery a little bit that had maybe a little bit more run ability.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we've seen it, although I do think that he could be pretty good on this team. I do think he adds more a receiver, which, makes him the X factor, adds to that positionless football that, we've been talking about
Yep.
entire offseason. The guy from Notre Dame, the UDFA, he's got a little bit of juice. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he comes together. He's an inside outside zone runner, powerful guy. So I'm wondering, like, is Dwayne Washington so entrenched that he couldn't be beat out by somebody? Or, we get back into the thing with the virus and hidden players and everything. Like, if you have a good player,
Yep.
better off hiding them and protecting your depth for the long term throughout the season. Obviously you want to have the best 53, but in the season where there's going to be attrition, it's guaranteed. I think you got to go in like you're guaranteed there's going to be attrition somewhere. Managing your roster and hiding your assets might be like low key one of the keys of the season.
That's a good point. Especially with a guy especially knowing if you have Kamara and, even if this guy is really good, it's probably a ceiling on what, he's going to get touches wise. So, yeah, I can see that making sense saying, hey, we can hide him on the practice squad. Injury comes up. This is running back position. High chance that injuries happen here. We got this guy in the tuck that we can always, pull out the practice squad. And then there's some more practice squad flexibility this year too.
Yeah.
So, I do think that's going to be, the good coaches are going to be thinking about getting that edge, right? Like, this coronavirus stuff is going on. We're managing that too, but there's still football and there's still competitive advantages to be had. And I think that'll be something to watch, especially, like you said, at that running back position, because guys get hurt there. So, yeah, we'll see how that.
I just realized I disrespected Taquan Mizzell. Like he was on the practice squad all last year, and he'd be in that Montgomery mold. So they do have someone to push him at least to kind of, I just like the idea of like making sure that somebody's earning their spot on the team,
Yeah.
especially when it's like the depth. You know what I mean? Like you just don't want that guy to be like, oh well, he's the only option. So
yeah, that's fair. I think. And look, I mean, I one time Montgomery's not a lock, right? I mean, he signed for the vet minimum, and but it is. I do think they have like. I mean, you got a vet there. When you look at the running back room, I don't think it's a. I mean, obviously you're not saying this, but it's not a weakness of the team, right?
At all.
And they have some. Murray's a good second running back. I think that's I mean, if he's your starter, then you probably are always looking at the next guy. But if he's someone who is behind a superstar, you feel good about that. And everybody else behind them, they got to figure out how to add value in other ways, special teams, positionless football and things like that. So yeah, it's a good room. And yeah, I think the most interesting thing there is, this is gonna sound crazy, but what are they gonna do with Ty Montgomery? I think we know who Latavius Murray is. I think I'm probably pretty confident that Kamara is gonna have a big year. health pending and he's healthy. So, I mean, I guess Montgomery's probably the most, interesting thing. Is he playing at linebacker, running back? What are his packages, right?
Like the thing is, one of those guys, like say Alvin goes down, like yeah, Murray does carry the load. Like one of those other guys though needs to be able to show that they can run the ball well enough so that you can put them on the field, and they got to defend it as if it's a run. But Murray, like if you flex him out, you aren't getting him at the X, and he's running two, right? He's running a go or a curl, right? I mean, like that's it. And the ball's never going to go to him.
Will ride if he's in a really good mood,
like once or twice. Like Montgomery, like he needs to show that he can run well enough so that when he's on the field, like you can flex him out and get all that stuff. They have to defend the run just a little bit. And, if Alvin misses time, like that becomes a valuable asset, and you aren't losing like that whole package of your offense, that, that little bit of scheme flexibility. So that's what they need out of one of those other guys. And I think maybe they lack that a little bit for some time. And look, man, like I was a fan of the Travaris Cadet package. Like that doesn't mean that he was the prototype perfect player for it, but the idea of it. What year was it? 2016, week 16, I think, against Jacksonville. Like that was the cadet game. Like if you could get somebody a little bit more high end at that and use them in the same ways to break a defense. Was it week 16? That's a good role. That's a good role on the team. Yeah.
I think, and I mean, it's possible Montgomery can be that guy, right? I think that's to be determined. You got to find out now, though, huh?
Yeah, I gotta look.
Travaris Cadet, his All-Pro game, but yeah, just again thinking about that position, I do think that Montgomery's job is to kind of not be a tail when he's on the field, right? That's something that if I'm the Saints and if I'm him, I'm looking at him as someone who can, come in a package and, if he's lined up in the backfield, he can split out wide or vice versa, right? So he has to be able to provide some flexibility to the offense, because I don't think his skill set as a runner or as a pass catcher alone it's not anything special. So I do think there's got to be some value in another way. Go ahead.
It was week 16, 2015.
Oh, 2015.
That was the game, yeah. Yeah, he had 3 catches for 69 yards.
Man,
Tim Hightower ran for 122 that game.
Oh, gosh.
I want to say Cadet had like another good game like right after that.
Man, ain't a whole lot of them.
He's 6 or 77 the next week against Atlanta.
He was
three carries for 6 yards. Like that's all you need is like those couple carries. So they gotta
run. Yeah, and oh man, it was so annoying when he ran the ball, but you understood why he had to run the ball.
Yeah, he barely ran the ball too. But like that's the thing. Montgomery's a much better runner.
Yes,
he's a better receiver too. He's better at everything. But like, yeah, like look, you get Montgomery going on those pitches with that athletic offensive line. Like there's a chance he breaks one at some point. Like he has that in him. It's blocked well. He's going to get what's blocked. I don't know if he's going to get a whole lot more than what's blocked, but he'll get what's blocked. And they got a good line that can get down the field, get him space.
Yep.
Gets the edge one day. Like it could happen.
Yeah. Well, that was a segue. O-line. Biggest. So I'll give you a multiple choice question this time. What do you think is the biggest storyline for the offensive line? Pete playing up to his contract that they paid him this offseason, or the rookie getting acclimated to the NFL, whether he's at guard or center?
I think it's Ruiz. I definitely think it's Ruiz. Mostly because I think if McCoy gets the guard, I think McCoy can be like an elite guard. And
yeah.
he needs to get there. And I think if he's there, it helps your screen game, it helps your running game. And you can do more stuff to, the right side of the line if you have to. Even going to the left, you could just pull more. And if you have that guy with his 4.89 speed at guard, you can pull to the left side and cover up some of the stuff for Pete a little bit. So I think Ruiz getting in at center, getting acclimated, I would put that pretty far ahead. I don't know, like even if it would be, it's not like a neck and neck thing. That was like a pretty easy decision for me.
Okay. I would probably agree with you, but I don't think I would probably say they're a little closer though, because, look, they just they decided that this guy was worth, $13 million a year, and that's not an insignificant contract. And let's be honest, like his, based on his play recently, that's not really his value, right? And that's not the right way I'm trying to say it, but I think they
No, that's
paid
real. He
him.
ain't. Look, I think it's fair to say that the contract was higher than expected.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So they're paying him for what they think and that's what the NFL does. They pay you, they pay you for what you can be, not what you have been. So they're telling us that this is a guy who we see as one of the best at his position in the NFL, right? And I think that's significant. And if they're right, then that's huge because we know what Pete is when he's like at his best. He's dominant. Like he's dominant. He's more athletic than most guards, and he's but then the flip side, right? And so I just think that if we can get the Pete that, and I keep forgetting you, I think it was 2018, maybe it was 17. I think the 17 Pete, then that's going to significantly upgrade your O-line, even if the rookie is average. So I think Ruiz coming in and being a good player is the number one, but I think the Pete situation is it's relatively close second.
I mean, there is an element of it being, kind of like a horse apiece, whichever one gets going,
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, like you can hide averageness at one spot with elite play at the other. I don't know. I guess for some reason I just kind of expect McCoy to, if he can go to that spot, to be elite easier than it will be for Pete. So I guess that's why I was kind of like, I kind of believe in McCoy's upside more than Pete's at this point. And I don't know if that's a knock on Pete or what. It's just been a while since we've seen it. And
yep. That's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, Pete. He has these moments where he just, and look, it's some visuals too, right? And there's moments where, and say you're a casual football fan, and you're not, Tuesday or whatever day the all 22 comes out, you're hitting refresh because it comes out on a certain day. You may, to the outside observer, it may look like, wow, why did they get rid of Larry Warford when the trouble was on the other side of the line? So, I just think that, and so it looks like he's this guy who's just like, why did they re-sign him, right? It's super polarizing, but the team is telling you something different. So, I think that makes it, a little bit of a bigger deal, right? Because I don't think it was a controversial move at all that they, released Warford and kept Pete, but there's been some commentary about it. So I think, there's a part of it that's like, hey man, earn this contract, earn the trust that they put in you because, it's a significant investment.
yeah, I buy in on all that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Another thing with the O-line is like, I think the run game, I think it should be better this year. I think pass pro is relatively, it was good enough to win. I don't think pass pro was a problem. It could be better. There was times where it was not good. Atlanta, Minnesota is another one that stands out, obviously. But I think them run blocking better this year will be important. I think having Pete fully healthy is a big part of that. And I think McCoy, who you bring up at guard, can be a big part of that too, specifically on the right side line with him and Ramchick.
There's a scenario though, like where Pete's average, Ruiz doesn't get up to speed, McCoy stays at center, and Ruiz plays average at guard, where it could be somewhat bad. I know that the whole thing is like, oh, Nick Easton's back here in the wings waiting. Like, who is Nick Easton? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen enough in him to have like that blind confidence to where like, oh, there's this like high level bar.
He was inactive for half the half the season last year.
I mean, he got a contract that says that like he should be that guy, and maybe he is that guy. I just haven't seen it yet myself. And I know James Hurst is coming in; he's got a suspension or whatever. He started somewhere before, but like he's been up and down throughout his career too. So like, there is this scenario where things maybe don't all work out. I think that they probably will. Like, everybody talks really highly about Ruiz, but you got to get on the field and do it and figure it out and show that it can be done. And just because you aren't at center week one doesn't mean you won't be at center week 4. So, it's truncated. So maybe it's a small window of, playing it the way that you're forced to play it. But, but one of two of those things needs to work out.
Yeah.
Both things work out. You have an elite offensive line.
Elite offensive line. I mean, even if one works out, then you got the same line you had last year.
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's
If
probably better
one
because
is average,
you're taking Warford out and replacing them with someone that's better. So you're improved if one of the two things works out.
yeah. No, yeah,
And
I agree with that. I agree with that. And then the tackles. I think the last thing is just Armstead being healthy. And
yeah,
Armstead, man, I think I had you at number 3. Like I need you to make me look good.
I can't believe he's not on the top 100. That's a disgrace, man.
That's ridiculous.
I
I
don't want
think
I don't want to talk about the list, but that's a disgrace.
yeah. Because I think he's better than Ramjack. But
I mean, he's better than Todd Gurley, who came in at 51 or whatever it was.
see, and so I'll be honest, I have no idea what's on that list deliberately. But to hear that Gurley is at 51
I seen a
anyway,
couple, yeah. I seen a couple. That was one that I saw. I was like, what are you like? This dude
he's
in
washed. He's done.
in 2018, yeah, put him on the list. Like he had like, what do you have last year? Like 800 yards, 700, 800 yards.
Even bro, he can't cut.
Like,
He
let's
the
say he can. If he bounces back and has a great year and he's 51 next year, okay. This year he is not the 51st best player in the NFL.
He's not. He's not. He's not. And if you watch the Rams, like he could not. He just couldn't. Listen. If you saw Pete Gurley, like Pete Gurley, once he decides to cut, it was game over. He's never been like this. Contrary to popular belief, I guess. Like he's never been like this guy who was super shifty. He's just he gets downhill, he makes that cut, and it's game over, right? And that cut was lethal. That's what made him good. He can't do that anymore. So straight line he'll be fine, but if you saw him play last year and you voted him in the top 100, like I got questions
Yeah,
about
I
this
don't know.
list.
I don't know who would have voted for him. That's crazy. It makes no sense to me. There's 200 players that should be on that list beforehand. Like there's multiple Saints that should be on that list. Tehran should be on that list before him. Like
Teron should be on this list. I
without
mean,
question.
McCoy should be on the list if we're talking. Well, I don't know. I would have to see how the list pans out. But maybe Marcus Williams. I don't know. I'm just thinking like guys who are top 7 or 8 of what they do in the league, right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
they both had a better season than it. Like, look, I mean, like I said, maybe he gets the arthritis figured out and everything comes back and he's, it's magic and it's Gurley again. But that dude was not on the field last year.
Yeah, I know knees don't get better, especially when they're degenerative. So, and that's not a knock on Gurley. I'm glad he got his money. Hey, look, get your contract players because it's just one away. But yeah, for him to be 51, I didn't know that.
I caught you a little call back there.
Huh?
I caught you a little call back there.
Hey man, look. Leave me alone.
Wide receivers?
Wide receivers, skill position. Let's just do. Let's do it together. Let's put tight ends and wide receivers.
Wide receivers, tight ends together?
No. You know what? No, because the tight ends are a little bit more interesting, right? I got to move past the Kobe Fleener era. Let's start with tight ends. I think Cook. I think we have a good idea. Even I don't know what his numbers are going to be because I think he's surrounded by a better Kamara, more a highly drafted tight end not highly drafted, but they invested in him, and then you got another wide receiver coming in. So I don't know what his numbers are going to be, but I think his impact will be good. My question is the rookie, who I'm excited about. That's the rookie I'm looking forward to see the most. What do you think Trotman is going to guess? What are you going to do this first year?
Well, I mean, first on Cook, I'm kind of locked in on the belief that he's going to look all pro on film. Like you, I don't know if he'll get the numbers to be all pro, but I think he's going to have all pro level film. Like I think he's.
You was telling me that late last year. You was like, dude, Cook. He said, dude, you told me, you said, man, Cook, give me like next year he's going to be dangerous. So here we go.
Yeah, I think he's going to make good on it. Troutman, yeah, is Taysom tight end too? Like, should Taysom be tight end too?
Don't disrespect Josh Hill.
I'm not disrespecting Josh Hill. I think that Taysom's a more dynamic receiver than him, though, and I think he's more dynamic at a lot of things. The blocking, man, it's probably comparable. Like it's not that far off. Like I'm just saying, if you could take Taysom like out of the whole conversation of anything else, and you put him on the team, like I think he'd be tight end too, probably by a good amount. Like if he spent the offseason, like this whole offseason running routes, learning the tight end playbook, like I think that he would be a better all-around tight end total package than Josh Hill. Yeah. And that's no disrespect to Josh Hill. I think Josh Hill does the things he does really well, but like Taysom's like an elite athlete.
Yeah, if you say his ceiling is just higher, right? And his floor is what you see now, which is really good. So I can see that being the case.
Yeah, just with some refinement. Like he could be that guy. It's just I don't know if he actually has that at quarterback, keep doing it. But like if not, he could be an elite tight end. But not elite, but like a very good tight end.
An elite number 2. How about that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
if he did this like his whole life though. Like if you gave Taysom 8 years of tight ending,
development.
4 years in college, 4 years in the pros, like where would he be right now?
Yeah, 8 years Taysom's my age. But no, I get what you're saying though. I mean, the speed, the physicality, and I mean he's already. I think he's natural at it. I will say that. He seems to block better than I expected him to at this point. The routes that he runs, I get your point.
Like, and
I,
that's the thing.
I,
He ain't spending time studying how to block. He ain't spending time studying how to run routes. Like he spends his time training as a quarterback, and he's
as a
just like doing
quarterback
this stuff
on the
like on the
side,
fly. Yeah.
practice for one day a week or something. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I, I don't know. I still don't know where to put him. I think he's a Taysom. I don't know, offensive weapon quarterback. But in my head, I keep saying H-back because I think I can see them using him in as a fullback, H-back role, tight end, some slot, obviously quarterback. So yeah, I look at H-back as just a position. I don't know. I just make it synonymous with whatever he's doing. But yeah, I think if you look at him as a tight end, I definitely think that's an interesting position group, man. Because I mean, you can do a lot. You can put Taysom and Trotman on the field if you think Trotman is a good blocker, and Cook, and I mean, you could do some crazy stuff out of 13. They've done that before, so
I mean,
it's a
it'd
good
be
point.
much better than the Who Man Hill
Oh
Ben
man,
Watson 13 personnel.
wow,
But yeah, so Troutman, I don't know what to expect from him.
tough
Like
call.
I think that he can show up and he's athletic enough to get open and run some routes
Mm-hmm.
and make some plays. And I think he will get on the field and do some of those things. It's the
Mm-hmm.
blocking that's going to have a lot of catching up to do. And
Yeah,
the again, like you aren't going to have it. The padded practices are how many 14 or something like that. It's a very small amount of padded practices
right.
this off season. So where are you learning this blocking technique? Like you can drill it a little bit in shorts and shells,
Mm-hmm.
get your hand placement down and all that stuff. And you can teach it on film, but like you got to go out there and, actually be on the edge and block Marcus Davenport.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah. To be a viable, option to play a whole lot of snaps. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a process for him. So if I had the over under it, I don't know, man, 350.
I think you take 350 for him this year. I think because I think that his value, at least early in his career, I don't think it's really going to be in numbers. A lot of what blocking as a tight end is just effort, and because if you want to do it, then you can be taught to do it, right? Because you don't have to go out, you don't have to be Tron Armstead, right? You're not going to be blocking Davenport on a 5-step drop by yourself, right? So, I think he has a really, really, really high blocking upside,
Yes.
and if he can just tap into like a small percentage of that, I think his impact will not be in his stat line.
Yeah,
I think it'll
that's
be
fair.
when he's lined up at 12 and you playing a run and he goes and gets 15 yards, right, on an in route or something like that, or you view him as a pass threat, and then he stays in to block, and he's doubling up on your foretech, driving him inside while guys running on outside zone run or something. So I think that's going to be his value. It's just going to be in his ability to allow them to do some things formationally that can give them some type of advantage. So that's kind of what I see him as.
He's got to be viable enough to get away with it though. Like, and you
Yeah.
like the thing is like a year from now, look that tight end gets a lot of easy yards in the 2 and 4 minute offense. Like Kobe Fleener's whole 638 yards or whatever he had the one year, like 80% of that was in those late game situations because like somehow nobody ever covers the tight end when they're empty set rushing down the field. It's like the easiest pass in the world. Those are going to Jared Cook. Those aren't going to go to Adam Troutman this year.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
a year from now, like there's going to be, look, if Cook's on the team or not, like, I think Troutman's here probably for more 2021 than 2020. But like you said, there's going to be things formationally that he helps them do. I know like their 12 numbers look kind of low, but Taysom was out there a lot as the second or the second tight end and some of
That's
that stuff.
12, man. That's got to be
It is.
12.
It is, but it's like nobody, when you go to
Counts it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to whatever site, like nobody gives them credit for that as well. That's a 12 package. So
It
they
is.
did do more of it than, and look, I'm guilty of citing those numbers, but then like I went through and like broke down all the play, like, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like there was a lot more 12 than was expected. So we'll see more traditional 12. And then those 12s, like you said, will become 13. And then, like you said, you got Troutman, you got Cook, you got Taysom. Like any of them can play in line, any of them can split out.
Right.
So this is, another. You got a 41-year-old quarterback, and I know he's throwing smoke on Instagram this week. But like, if you need to hide some of the stuff and go through smoke and mirrors, like they've done a lot of things to make their offense much more difficult to read. And I have to think that's by design. Like that's the aging process. So
it's
this
too
is
obvious.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. All right, wide receivers. So number one thing about wide receivers, what do you expect out of Emmanuel Butler? It's number one storyline.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the over under on him is it's
That
tough.
was the weirdest thing. Like this dude had all the juice last year. I mean, I don't even want to call out names because I was just about to start, which is not a negative thing. It was like I was one of them. Like the guy was getting, I didn't see the practice, obviously, but he was. I mean, they were talking him up, and I think the game came in, and it things just didn't work out for him. And then they had Krishan Hogan, the Hogan kid, and Lil Jordan. Both of those guys passed him, but yeah, he's someone I'm keeping an eye on this year. It's definitely not the most important thing going on in the wide receiver room. I was just being silly, but he is someone that
It kind of is.
can. Yeah, I think. Well,
Mike's a given.
You said Sanders a given too, for like a 85% given Sanders, right? You're like you're pretty sure about Sanders. Yeah,
he is.
I'm probably like 70, a cool 70 on a good day, just because.
Ooh, on a good day.
Well, just because, not because it's just stuff happens, man. I don't know. I'm CJ Spiller. I'm the thriller still is like it's still in my heart, man. CJ, I haven't let go. CJ and Fleener, I'm broken, so I just need to see it.
The thing that I think Sanders is almost like to a certain degree recession proof, and the reason I say that is like
relevant.
you go back and look at what he did, and like I think there's just a certain level that he's going to hit no matter what. Like he's never, man, I don't know if he's ever had quarterback stability at any point in his whole entire career. Like Denver was doing a lot of weird, like since Peyton Manning. Yeah. Since then, like Denver did a whole lot of stuff. Like there were three guys playing quarterback a season, and then like there was no carryover. And year to year, it was changing. And then he gets traded. He plays with a game manager in San Francisco.
Plays well.
Yeah,
plays well. No,
if Jimmy hits that pass, is his value higher? Like would that have mattered if you caught the game-winning Super Bowl pass on a bomb?
Yeah, I mean, it has to, right?
Like Malcolm Butler got, and me included, got probably overrated for a little bit just off of making an incredible Super Bowl play. Like he was good in New England, but I think that boosted him a little bit too.
I think that's. But if you make a play in the Super Bowl and college, I mean, yeah, I think that's fair, right? I think that's what's kind of what's supposed to happen, But yeah, I agree.
So 850 yards.
Ooh.
Over under.
Man, I could push.
You're gonna push? All right.
Maybe push. Because I'm thinking like, didn't the Saints have like what was the year they had like Thomas had over 1,000, Cook, and I'm just trying to see I'm just trying to think of how those numbers divvy up. Because I think Kamara is gonna leech yards out the passing game from either Cook or Sanders, and I don't know who it's going to be. It's probably going to be both because it's never one or the other. But the healthy Kamara dynamic throws all the numbers off of me, because if you get Alvin from the start of last year, like we wouldn't even be having the conversation that we've been having about them needing another offensive weapon, right? Because Cook, Thomas, and Kamara would have been elite, and they are when they're healthy. But so if he's healthy, then I just have a hard time seeing how he's not a huge part of the package. And I think like I said, Cook, he's going to be elite, but I don't know if the numbers are going to reflect it. And I think Sanders can have, and I don't want to say elite, but he can have like a really significant impact on the offense, moving the chains. I think he's a better deep receiver than people give him credit for, but I just don't know if it'll look like good numerically, but situationally, he's going to be a problem. Defensive coordinators know who he is.
All right, so I think Breeze is probably going to throw like 550 passes this year. He was on pace for 544 last year. If you took his average and extrapolated it over the whole entire season,
let's call it 525 just for.
I think it might even actually be higher than that. Like they brought all these mouths to the table to feed them. You know what I mean?
I think they want to run the ball though, right? I think they really, 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 and if they're winning, they're running it. Go ahead. I cut you off. Go ahead.
I mean, Mike's slant game is basically an extension of the running game. Alvin on screens is an extension of the running game. So you can have your short game that ties into that. Like, I don't think you invite everybody to the table and then don't cook enough food. So I think that they have a plan to make sure everybody gets what they need to eat and to take advantage of them. And, Mike's going to, I think Mike takes a hit here. Like
he has to take a regression. Yeah, he has to.
Yeah. I mean,
like in a good way though, right?
I think he probably loses 40 targets. Like, probably pretty easily. Like and look, that would still put him at like 1,500 yards on the season, and he would still lead the NFL in yardage. It's just not all-time greatest.
40. Yeah, I mean that was an unreal year he just had, right? Yeah. Let's put that in context.
So okay, he's taking a haircut. Like I think Sanders probably gets 900 yards. Probably, I don't know. Like I don't think it's crazy for him to get like 90 targets in the offense. Like it, and if he catches 73% of those, 75% of those, like that's 70 catches. Like I think that's probably a pretty decent year for him.
Yeah.
Okay. He averages like 13 per. Like, I think that's a good year for him. And I think that's definitely doable. I just don't think Cook ends up hitting 1,000 yards. I think he's the one that kind of takes a little bit of a hit. I think Sanders doesn't hit 1,000 yards. He takes a hit on it. I think both those guys have 1,000-yard potential in the offense. I think Alvin does get a lot of his production, but I think Murray takes a step back in the passing game. He probably doesn't get the targets he got last year. So, I mean, like it's going to divvy up. I just don't know. I think it just kind of holds back Cook a little bit. I think it holds back Sanders a little bit, from their full potential. But I think they're both going to look really good on film. But 900 isn't crazy. Like you can get a couple big plays, throw it in there, and then like you get, I don't know, your handful of targets every game, which I think he's going to get. Like I just don't think that you sign him. I don't think you invest in Cook and you just pack it in and don't throw the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if Traquan is getting what 350, 400 a year or whatever he's getting, then you double that and add a play or two, then you pretty much got like 1,000. Yeah. So I mean, when you break it down like that, hey man, Nick, you just gave him half the article. There's an article on the website talking about those. So make sure you guys check that out. I think you wrote it last week, the week before. I spoke about it on the last pod. So make sure you guys go check that out. There's a little bit more in-depth information about just some of the landmark numbers that Nick thinks some of these guys are going to reach. So NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. Check that out. But okay.
$10 off an annual plan with the coach.
$10 off an annual plan. Listen, listen, we got the exclusive to the practice reports. It's the only place
and an exclusive. Anybody out there can do it. So
no, I'm saying this is the only place you can get them. The website exclusive. Like this is the only place you can get the Underhill practice reports.
Oh yeah.
NewOrleans.Football. So make sure you guys subscribe. Check it out. All right. It only took us an hour to do the offense.
Oh my gosh.
So let's run through the defense. I think we'll make this one a little bit quicker. One thing, did you see that man, what's the Bosa kid? It's Joey and what's the other one's name? I don't know. It's two Bosas.
Nick.
I don't know why. I'm sorry, bro. Oh, an apology. Anyway, that's not okay. That's not okay. I might edit that out or something.
we aren't all the same, man. It's fine.
All right. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, just moving on.
I know, man.
Let's just move past that.
I know I was going to be. I'm going to pay for that. Some rap take. And I'll put Nas number 1 tomorrow or something. We'll be even. Man, but that contract, man, that made me think like Cam Jordan. Wow, like just that guy must really like New Orleans because, that's $27 million a year. Ooh, and to your point, And the reason I bring it up is because, you made a point about how, I think it was last pod where, we was talking about the Davenport pick, and these guys are hard to find. So if you don't draft them, good luck getting the guy who can produce, because those guys stay on their team. And that contract is like, I thought it just reflected exactly what you said last week about that draft pick keeps making more and more sense, provided that he continues to improve. It just makes sense why they decide to go get him.
Yeah, I had such I got myself like in Davenport debates this week on Twitter. It's just unrealistic. The idea, like everybody says he's not worth 2 first, but like,
what does that mean?
Like, go ahead. Like my response to everybody, and I'm waiting for somebody to give me a response. Like, I'm willing to admit I'm wrong. Like, I'm never somebody that digs into a take. Like, if you tell me my take's wrong, like I will.
I disagree.
I will back off my take. Look, Doggy Style is not the greatest rap album of all time. Like, that is not what I'm going to back off on. But like,
that's not my take. But
look, if somebody can present me with evidence, like I'm not someone who dies on a hill. Like I think one of the things I do is like I will evaluate my thought process, and my thought process is wrong. I will write the article to address why I was wrong. Like I'm
Can't
not
go
someone.
under the hill.
Yeah, whatever it may be. But look, I'm yet, and I invite it. I want somebody to show me the scenario where you get this pass rusher and you don't draft him. Like, who is the guy?
I mean, unless only thing you're doing is you're pulling the Chicago Bears and giving up whatever they gave up for Khalil Mack. There's another one. The same thing with the Ramsey kid, 2 firsts, the Adams kid, 2 firsts. That's the only other thing you're doing. You got to hope that someone's available, right? Because there's not always top 3 defensive players on the trade market that you can get for 2 firsts.
Or like you could say that, Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland should have known in 2018 that coronavirus was going to hit, and Clowney and Everson Griffin were going to still be available in late July as camps were opening. But outside of that,
they're still available for a reason, though. Like if they were that good, they would be on the team.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have the void or whatever, like, okay, you go sign one of them, and that's better than Paul Kruger. But like, there's not a realistic scenario where you don't make this move and you get a pass rusher. There just isn't. Like it's stopgaps and journeymen and hopes and dreams and 3rd round picks. And
well, who was there? But what was going on before though?
Paul Kruger, Bobby Richardson.
I mean, you looked up with Okafor.
Yeah, right? And I mean, even then, that's not like a.
He was above average.
He was. Oak was above average for sure.
Yeah,
he's not like a.
You're not fearing him.
When you have this team on the cusp of the Super Bowl, and that's the other people are like, oh, they should be going all in, whatever. Well, like you had Oak, he was okay. You match him in with Davenport for a season that one year, and then the next year that's your guy going forward. That is the one piece they are missing on a championship contender team. They go out and get it, and look, he's good. Like there's no debate over whether or not he's good. He's a good player. He's going to continue getting better. Has he lived up to 2 firsts or whatever? I don't know. Like that, someone else can decide that. I think that's a very bad way to even have the conversation. Really, it's like he's a good player. He fits, and that was the cost of acquisition because there was no other way to do it. Like if there's one car left in the world and it's a Daewoo, and you got to pay $10,000 for it, or don't walk 14 miles to work every day, you pay $10,000 for whatever car is available. Like it doesn't matter if it's actually worth it or not. Like the point is like, are you driving? Is it getting you there? Yes. Like, so, and I'm not calling Davenport a Daewoo. Like I'm just saying, like if there was the crappiest car in the world and whatever the price is, like you got to pay it. They got a very good defensive end, like somebody that could very easily have 10 sacks this season.
I'm with you. I'm glad to have a fellow Davenport because I was the only person on that train before. But while you were talking, I just went and pulled up his pressures. First game 3, second game 7, third game 5, next game 7, next game 7, next game 3, next game 4. Like, what? I mean, what are we watching here?
Right.
Like, I'm just like I don't know what film would. Like, are we seeing the same games, right? 7 back-to-back games with 7 pressures, 5 pressures. One of the games was against Tyron Smith. Another one was against Whitworth. He's not going against.
The film they're watching is Spielberg, not the Saints. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't have that opinion if you're actually.
Watching the games. No, that's fair. That's fair. And it's not a elitist type opinion. It's just like, no, he's doing it on the
Right.
film. Like if you just go and watch it, it's right there to be seen right now.
We
Maybe you
can.
think if you think he's not good. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna start ranting again. But like, we can disagree on the prism through which to view it, right? Like, if you want to say like, okay, he's good, but like maybe it wasn't one or two first. Like, fine, whatever. You want to have that conversation? That's cool. You can have it. I'm not gonna engage in it because I don't know how to have that conversation. There isn't a conversation about whether he is good or not. Like, he is good. The question is like, what level of good and how good is he gonna get? But like,
Right.
there is not a bad. Like, you can't be like, he's bad. He's bad at football. Like, and people say that.
Yeah, that's not a conversation that I would engage in. If you guys don't want me to tweet back at you, say that. I'll probably like just start ignoring tweets, and I never ignore tweets. So, yeah, I just don't know. I'm with you. I just don't know where you get that player from. And if we want to step into the realm of reality here, which is what we should all dwell there, because you're entitled to your opinion, not your own set of facts. Look at what happened to the defense when he left. It's night and day. Like the defense instantly got average at best. Right before Davenport, look at the defense. Go back, look at the 2019-2020 NFL season. Defense was winning. The offense didn't have to go out and win these games. A lot of times the defense was taking care. They was holding their own, as good as or better than the offense in a lot of ways. So, who do you think kept Teddy Bridgewater, to have, well, I don't know, was he 5-0? That wasn't an offensive explosion. So, when that guy left the defense instantly went down. So I don't really know how to make a better case in that other than just watch the film and look at the numbers. The film and the numbers, they line up this time, and that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the only like real question on the defensive line is pass rusher 3.
Yep. Inside, outside, it don't matter.
Yeah, somebody even on the outside, like it would be good to see Carl Granderson ascend. I don't know if he will or won't. Like that, there were some flashes. You'd like somebody better than Trey Hendrickson. I think Trey Hendrickson can get you by. Yeah, he can get you by. He was the only one who had a good game against Minnesota, but otherwise,
That's
yeah,
fair.
I mean, it's just
That's
like
fair. That's fair.
You'd like to see something better there. I'd like to see something better, on the interior. Look, I just rewatched the season 2018 season.
Mm-hmm.
Rankins was so good, man.
Oh gosh,
he was doing things. Like if he could get back to that, it would
thanks.
be like I forgot how good he was. You know what I mean? Like I just forgot how good he was. And there's so many plays that he wins by himself.
Yeah,
and that just
solo
wasn't
man to
happening last
man.
year. Huh? Yeah, it just wasn't happening last year. It wasn't happening with the other DTs. Onyemata gets some. I thought Onyemata rushed the passer better in 2018 too, which
I totally agree with that.
It's interesting. I'm a big Shy Tuttle fan. I'd like to see him get some snaps on third down. He's getting good pressure, and
Yeah,
he really wasn't out there on third down when you can kind of pin it back and go. So that's another level of intrigue for me.
I worry, and I hate saying this because it feels like a talking point, but like I kind of worry if he's one of those guys where, if he's in a situational role, then he gets, he's good, but some guys, once you start upping their snap count, then the priors become outliers. So we'll see. But he is someone I'm looking at. I think
I mean, that's fair. It's worth finding out though. Like he's shown enough potential that it's like maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
This team does a really good job of finding UDFA DTs, by the way.
Yeah, like Stallworth. Stallworth was a good. I mean, he was practice squad, but the previous year he played well as a nose tackle. I think he kind of made the kid that went to Atlanta a little expendable.
Davison.
Davison.
And then they had the guy they traded to Cleveland too that didn't make the team, but they got him and developed him. So I mean, like, yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think of his name. I just went blank for a second. Go ahead.
I mean, they've done a good job of finding him. So I don't know. Malcolm Roach is another one that kind of like could come in and do some things. I'm intrigued to see what he can do just based off their history of finding these guys. I think that it's at least worth at this point looking to see what UDFA DT they have and kind of earmarking him as somebody to watch early in camp. So, I think they're solid on the interior. Like they're much, much better with, man, if Rankin's even 70%.
If he steps like a little bit into his bag that he was in before, yeah. It's the whole defense. Like his play has the biggest. I was trying to think. I was thinking about this, and I was going to ask you this question like at the end of this D-line conversation. So I'm going to ask you now. What do you think? Who do you think has the biggest variance on the play of the D-line for the upcoming season? Davenport or Rankins? If Davenport takes the next step, or Rankins gets back to who he was, like, what do you think? Who provides what provides the most boom out of those two scenarios?
If you ask me this tomorrow, my answer could change. In this moment, right now, like I'm gonna go with Rankins, because I think interior rush can affect a play quicker and more impactfully, especially if you can get it one-on-one. I think they do a good enough job, and I think they have enough interesting players that if Davenport disappeared for a season, that they could scheme some type of pass rush. Whether it's Bond, you could bring your safeties down. PJ's a good blitzer. There's just a lot of ways that DeMario's a really
he's ridiculous.
So
Malcolm Jenkins is a good blitzer.
Yeah, so like they could dial that up. I think a lot of different ways to kind of cover for it. Whereas if there just is no, like, you can get by with the other DTs, but like you can't fake and manufacture what Rankins provided without Rankins, or another reasonable replacement.
What about if you think Davenport could slide into the interior?
I do. I mean, I think you could do that, but then who's playing on you moving Bond down to the edge then? Like, yeah, I mean, you could get away with it, but I just think
you have to be. Now you're being weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's a little bit out of sorts a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think today's answer is Rankins. You can ask me on next week's pod, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. The reason why I say Rankins is because, and this is kind of a talking point you hear around the NFL, and I think it's a valid and accurate one. Is you're seeing a lot more quick game in the NFL now, and the interior pass rushers, they are better in that area. If you can win quickly inside, then inside pass rushers have a shorter path to the quarterback, right? And so Davenport could beat the offensive tackle up, but if it's a quick drop, it doesn't matter. If it's a quick 5-step drop, the quarterback gets the ball out on time. That pass rush didn't affect the quarterback, even though the guy won, even though Davenport won his rep. If Rankins wins his rep quickly, that the play is blown up, right? So I've always been a bigger proponent of inside rush than outside rush, and I stand by it. And man, this is off subject, but have you seen Aaron Donald?
Yes.
Check that man's blood. You're not supposed to be 300 pounds and look like that. I'm not even 2 inches hard. Like, something's going on. Like, these have alien blood. Like, what's going on, man?
He's a freak, man. He's just a workout warrior.
Something's not right.
I don't know if I go there, but I mean,
I'm not saying he's on steroids. I'm just saying, like, what planet is he from?
Yeah, I mean, he's a freak. He's been a freak his whole life. Honestly, look, like as you were talking, like, I honestly don't know if I would take any edge rusher over Aaron Donald. No. And I think Sheldon and Davenport, comparably speaking, are probably on a level plane as pass rushers. 2018 rank versus
last year. Okay.
So that. I mean, I think just based off that, like you gotta veer towards the inside.
I'm not gonna hot take you up, but yeah, no, I'm with you.
I think. Right. Were you gonna say you think Davenport's better? I think he will be. I don't know if Davenport's peak has exceeded Rankin's peak yet. I think that last year in peak Rankins is pretty close.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I can't refute it. I don't have any stats or facts to refute it, but I've seen, like, when I saw what he did to Tyron Smith, like, all game, in the start of last year, just he was. I mean, Davenport was ridiculous. Like, I'm not saying he was better than Cam at the beginning of last year. I'm just saying he had better stats. I'm not making a point about anything other than if you compare them statistically, he was producing at a higher level than Cam Jordan, and Cam Jordan was producing at a really high level. But at the same time, interior pass rushers, they're not stat guys neither.
He was 0-18.
But not he wasn't producing the pressures that Davenport did at the beginning. Like I'll go look at this Davenport stretch where he had the 7-7-5-5. Rankins has never had a stretch like that in his entire
Yeah, sure, that's
career.
fair. But I think he was still affecting a lot of plays too.
That's why I said interior guys are not stat guys. So that's why I don't have any proof. But maybe it's recency bias, right? Rankins wasn't good last year. Davenport at the start.
Look, I forgot. Like, I needed the refresher to like remember because like it started to like fade a little bit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and it starts to blend in
We
with like
spoke
all these
about
other.
it, yeah.
It blends in with the other seasons that he's had that haven't lived up to the billing, and then it looks a little lesser. But like when you go back and watch it, there's some plays where you're just like, oh, like.
Yeah. I
like,
mean, I remember his spin move some plays was like, what did you do to that man?
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Like, I think the Minnesota game was the one where he was.
He had a few where he just like straight up didn't get like the spin was so nasty he didn't get touched. Like,
yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
I'd take Zion at 3-tech over any of them.
Hey, listen, man,
that
might be the plug. That might be the plug. Yeah, but the last point on this topic, I remember seeing Davenport do some things against Tampa. I think they were in the Dome, where I was just thinking, like, it's like when you can see someone figuring it out and it's happening right there in front of you. That was the feeling I was getting. I was like, because he gave this guy like he gave one, I think it was a right tackle, like a long arm pass rush move, and he got under his pads, and Davenport, he's a long athlete, and so he just got in the guy's pads and he just drove him into Winston, and I was just like, he's figuring it out. He's figuring it out, but the injury. So, but I can't refute the Rankins point because he's the interior. That's just the game changer. So.
It's another conversation for another day, but it is weird how there are games where there's sacks and pressures as a team. Like there's just a wild amount in certain games, and it's just like it starts snowballing.
Yeah,
and it keeps going. But we'll that's like a 20-minute offset.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're already running. We're running 2 pods right here, but yeah. Save it for later.
Like the Houston game's an example. Like all right. Let's just move on.
You've been watching too much film.
It just feels like so much of it comes in like it's just like there's these games where it's just like what is going on here, and it's just like like the Dallas game 2 years ago that they lost. Like it's just like
Onyemata was like that was his game, right?
Yeah, he had 3 sacks that game, and then somebody else had one that lined up over the. I want to say it was a left guard. In that game.
It was an interior guy. It was another interior guy.
Yeah, they just brutalized him. They just brutalized some poor dude on the interior offensive line, and they just killed him.
Yeah, now I want to know. I remember that game because I was mad because I was like, man, the defense, kind of like crazy showed up this game and you see what the result was. Yeah, that was a tough watch. That was a tough watch. I'm trying to look this game up right now as I'm trying to buy time to speak because I remember. Let me see. Onyemata had where is it? Sacks. All right. Nope. All right. I'll look it up. We'll circle back around to that. Linebackers. Give it a go. What's the biggest?
It's health.
There you go. I was gonna say that or Bond picking things up, but I think it's easily health.
So yeah, I mean, look, I just said the thing on Bond. I'm more confident in his coverage ability than I was a day ago before I started doing this. So I don't think the learning curve for him is as steep. There's plays where he's covering the slot, covering a wheel route down the field. There's recognition things. I don't think he knows how to locate the ball in the air, and I don't think he does a great job of reading the receiver yet. You can read them to know when to turn your head or play their hands or whatever. Those are things that are going to come with experience. I'm not looking at Bond as somebody that needs to contribute, even with that going into the season, like in that capacity as a linebacker. I think you kind of get him in. You find ways to use him in the pass rush. You find ways to use him as a linebacker, kind of in like a mixed role. And
Yeah,
if he hits,
hybrid.
if he hits and you can put him there, that's great. But I don't even think the Saints are planning for him to be like the guy at that position. So, um, that would be a positive. But it's health. Like if Alonso and Anzalone are healthy, great group of linebackers. I mean, we've talked about this a ton, so I don't think we need to belabor it too much. But beyond that, like maybe if Caden Ellis shows up and takes the next step, that takes a little bit of pressure off. You still got Robertson, but like, still it's the health of those guys, and you don't want to get into a situation where you peel into your safety depth to hide a deficiency at linebacker because you're down guys and you don't have somebody in coverage.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much more there is to add.
We've talked about this 80 times.
Yeah, I want to see what Anzalone. I think he can be really good. I'm a big fan of his, and I don't know why, because maybe it's in my head that he played better. I think it was 2018, maybe than he
He's
really
flash
was.
though. He's flash though, man. It's not flash. He's definitely flash.
I've seen him do things on film. I'm like, man, we just need a little bit more of that. And if he can stay healthy, then with Bond, I think you'll really be able to like have him laser focused on doing a small set of things well. And I think that'll be the best case scenario for him his rookie year. Like, okay, we're gonna blitz you. I want you to learn. I want you to blitz. I want you to set the edge. I want you to stunt. I want you to beat tight ends. Right. These are the things you're gonna be doing this year. And if Anzalone's healthy, then he can focus on those things instead of maybe having to be a starter. And then there's a little bit more pressure. I always remember Alden Smith's rookie year. He was really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone remembers how good he was. But he didn't play. He wasn't a starter. I forget the guy that started over him. But he came in on third downs, and all he did was dominate. And all he had to do was come in and rush the passer, right? Just be good at this, and it's valuable, and do it. So with Bond, if we can, have him spell someone on nickel downs and not have to worry about base defense, then I think that'll be the best case scenario for him, as a rookie. So
it's yeah. I mean, if you aren't relying on him, and again, I don't think that they are. That's the best case scenario by far. And look, they've done a great job with succession plans at like a lot of positions.
Yeah.
They did it with Davenport behind the Okafor. The transitions at safety, Kenny to Vaughn to Gardner Johnson. So it's the best case scenario if they can do that again with him, let him settle in, do what he needs to do, and then you put the pressure on him in 21. But yeah, if they can keep it off him, that's a massive benefit.
Big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah. All right, let's finish. Secondary. What do you think the strength of the secondary is? Their safeties?
The starters across the board.
Garner Johnson, let's call him a safety. Garner Johnson. He's a slot though. Is he how do you view him? Something in my head says safety, but he's really a cornerback.
Like if you're primarily slot, I think you got to consider him a cornerback, right? I mean,
cornerback. Yeah, you got to. Yeah, I just think I'm looking forward to. I want to see. I think Lattimore can potentially have I want to see a career year. I'm willing to go there. Right, it's contract year. He's already considered a top cornerback, obviously, but
he's got a year left.
Oh, this is his fifth year. Yeah, this is his fifth. Okay, yeah, he's about to play his fifth year, right?
I think he's under contract in.
No, he got 2 years. No, he got 2 years. Okay,
him and Ramczyk. Yeah, their first round pick. Yeah,
yeah, that's fair. But I mean, you're getting into that time where you can start to get extended, right? And you can lower that cap hit from the fifth year and the cap is about to get weird. So I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But I just think him, if he can have like his best year, that's another one of those players who, if Rankins is not good, but Lattimore is so much better, then I think he's one of those players who can kind of flip the defense in a positive way. And I think he has a certain floor. I think that you kind of can feel good about. You've seen it kind of dip a little bit low, but for the most part, I think you know what you get with him. So, and then seeing Jack Rabbit play more press man, you've written about that, Coach Coach Aaron Glenn spoke about it. I remember in the interview earlier this offseason. So those are the two things I'll kind of be paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm super interested just to see how having two good cover guys affects the pass rush. I mean, look at Cam's career, and his good years are the only years when, not good years, but his best years are the years when he's had good cornerback play. 13 with Keenan Lewis was his best year for a while, and then the coverage kind of went into the hole a little bit, and then they got Marshawn, and those sack numbers came back a little bit.
Yep.
You got two of those guys for the whole season. Like, what's that going to look like? What's that going to do for the D line?
Yep.
And as you mentioned, ways to cover rankings, that is a way better coverage, more time. Maybe lesser players are able to get more pressure, more sacks, and things happen through that. But I don't. If the starters, again, it's another spot. If the starters stay good, I don't think there's a whole lot of questions. If a starter at cornerback goes down, like, I know we like to blow it up as this like massive concern because this team's so good, and when you're looking at the crises, like, that's one of the few that could happen.
They could be all right.
Yeah, you can get away with it. You got good enough safeties. You can get away with it. Like, PJ doesn't need to carry a man 20 yards down the field. He just needs to cover. You put him in off. He covers, and 12 yards he passes off. If you can limit his exposure out there, it's fine. Like, he just covers half their out in front of him. Has to carry it a couple yards up the field. He's a tall guy, so you stick a hand up, 2 of those yards are taken care of. So you just gotta make sure you aren't getting burned. It takes stuff off the table, but there's enough players there to get away with it. If you can add somebody, that's great. But I don't know if I would go out and I've heard like the fans all like Logan Ryan's name comes up a ton.
He's not the guy. He's not the guy you need.
Maybe he could be. I don't know. Like he
can he play outside?
Look, I mean he wants real money, and too. Yeah, I mean the thing is that he's somebody that needs to move around the defense to maximize his value. Like, he's not somebody you just want to fix to the outside. Like,
you got Malcolm Jenkins. You just signed that guy.
Yeah, well, you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson too. Like, you have that guy. You got PJ Williams, who is not that guy, but he's a version of that guy in that mold. So I don't like. You could get creative with them, but like, you're pushing somebody out. Like, spent $8 million on.
Yeah, I would look at a back. I mean, I think if you look for anyone, it would be an outside corner. Right. When I see if I had to pick a weakness in the secondary, I was like, okay, who's the number 3 outside corner?
Correct.
That's the only. So Logan Ryan, he's a slot player. Right? Like, he's a slot. He's a blitzer. Go ahead.
If they signed him and found a way to use him, it could be like, it'd be interesting and exciting. I'd be eager to see how it works. Like, you could have a ton of dudes that can do everything. But yeah, I mean, he probably played, I would guess if he played 800 snaps last year, it's 500 on the outside, like, or 500 in the slot. Like, he's somebody that needs to move around. And I don't know, if Dennis Allen can figure it out, like, it could be awesome. Like, it really could be awesome. But like, as I look at it, it's hard to see like the immediate need fit role, like where you would maximize the value of signing that player.
Right. Yeah, I just went and took a look at some free agent corners. Like, I could make a case that they should sign Daquez Denard, Drake Kilpatrick, or Tramon Williams, maybe over Logan Ryan, just because those guys. I think, Tramon Williams plays. Yeah, those guys, they can play outside, and I just think you can put Pete. I mean, people forget. I mean, PJ played in the slot last year, and the defense was good. So while he was in the slot, he's not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. There's not many of him, but I just think that you got Malcolm Jenkins there too. So I definitely think if you're looking at a guy, you're looking at a guy that can probably play outside instead of play inside. So the only other thing with the secondary is how are they going to divvy up the numbers, basically, right? You got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Malcolm Jenkins, Marcus Williams, Lattimore, and Jenkins. So there's a numbers game to be played there. How is that going to work out? Who fits where? Who's going to come off the field and what times? Who's going to play base defense? Which base is not a large percentage, but just how those snaps are going to be broken up. But other than that, I think we know who the outside starting corners are. We know who the free safety is. That Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is too good to not be on the field. They didn't sign Malcolm Jenkins for nothing. So, I think all those guys will see the field. So,
like, the thing is, like Logan Ryan is probably a better outside corner than PJ Williams, but I do not think that you don't want either one of them playing outside in a
Yeah,
perfect world.
something
Like
went
you can get away with
wrong.
either one, but you don't you don't sign like I just have trouble seeing like if you were to sign Logan Ryan, like at the
How does
money
that make you that much better? Like versus
you'd have
like
to be putting them in the slot. Like you'd have to be doing something like real weird with your
yeah.
safeties. Like man, maybe like if you want to go all in on the positionless stuff and just get really freaking weird, like he could help you do that.
I just
But
don't
the money he wants, like man, I heard today like he wants like real money still, and
like
yeah, like I made the like whatever he was 40 something on the NFL top 100 list. He wants that kind of money.
oh well that's why he's still a free agent.
Yeah,
And I'm not being funny, but like those guys don't stay on the market long. Like if Marshawn Lattimore hit free agency,
yeah.
he wouldn't last a week.
I mean, I think he's a really good player. I think Logan's a really good player, but yeah, I mean, the price is probably too high for what he's
Yeah, I think
done.
NFL is telling him that his price is too high, and he'll sign for somewhere for lower. Just like Clowney.
New England just lost like half their team, so maybe it's
Patrick Chung is gone.
maybe it's a ride back.
Maybe he can. I mean, listen. Yeah, that's a little crazy. So, all right. Well, hey, listen, guys. Man, training camp preview. Football is back. We're excited. This podcast was almost an hour and a half. Just checked.
They
So,
all have been lately, man.
yeah, man. I know people they DM me saying, "Hey, man, we appreciate the longer pods." I'm like, I bet you do. Yeah. But listen, man, we do it because we love it and we love to do it. So listen, you guys can still go to NewOrleans.Football. You still can sign up. You still can catch the special. It won't be there indefinitely because it just won't be. So listen, I said it before, Nick is, his practice reports are as good as you'll read anywhere. I put that, I'm staying behind that. So make sure you guys sign up, join the squad, come and check us out here. Support the movement and check the show notes for the link if you don't know where to find it, if you just want to have something to click. So football's back and we will see you guys next week. We out.